And so good afternoon, people. This is about the XD3 engine injector pump, the rotary DPC and spiker pump. Now I'm going to play around with this and then you can see what happens here. Just going to empty the diesel there. Now this thing has 4 adjustments. The idling speed, the advanced system here, you set it with an LNT in here. Okay, just going to get rid of that noise there. And the retarding. Now to adjust the retarding, piston there, and the vertraging mechanisme, die tydvertragingsmechanisme te verstel, moet jy die link eers afhaal, anders die breek het soos die ene reeds is, otherwise it breaks like this one, and then you don't turn it to the minimum, keep it away from the minimum, then you undo the nut, until you can lift the arm up and set it to another set of splines. Now, that doesn't work like that. It doesn't come onto the ball here. So, I'm just going to put it a little bit this way. Okay, there. Now it must turn a little bit to get there. You can turn it another set of splines like so. And then it's going to force it onto the minimum position. So I don't think that's correct. Set it one spline back. That's now in the minimum position, but that's not one should be right. Okay, another just a little bit play there. That should be okay. Otherwise the retarder won't work. Like so. Now the first thing you know is that if you accelerate, the engine runs slowly. It can't take a lot of air in, but there's a lot of fuel. That means it's a rich mixture. For a rich mixture, you need slow timing. When you go downhill with a quarter throttle at high speed, the motor runs fast, turns fast. Then you're on a lean mixture. because you're not pulling heavily, you're going downhill. And you're just keeping it on the move. So you're not pressing it hard downhill, you're just keeping your speed downhill. So then you use less fuel and a lot of air. So that's a lean mixture. Then you have fast timing, advanced timing. Now, the advanced piston is this side, and the retarding piston is that side. When it advances, it forces the camering that way to advance. If it retards, it forces the camering this way. When it retards the camering. Okay, now I'm going to get the retarding piston out. Okay, to get that piston out on a retarder piston, you're going to use this battery operated drill. Okay, that is it. Take the piston out. Now, going to show you what happens with the fuel from this device there. If I turn it slow. And I see the fuel there, and I put my foot on the throttle, it becomes more, see? That means the engine is running slowly. If I put my foot on the throttle, more fuel, retarded timing, because then the fuel also comes out more there and forces the thing, piston to the retarding way, direction. Okay, so now we understand that, how that works. And just going to put it back. Not that block, this block. Right, so this side. I always use a fuel filter on my pumps. I don't want dirt from the oil can with fuel in it to come into my pump. Okay, now I'm going that this is a 5-speed drill, as you noticed. It's about 5 or 6 speeds. Impact to electric operated, battery operated. Okay. It has 11 speeds. Don't want the impact on this boat. So I hope you can see the mark on in there. Now it's advancing. Now it's retarding. Advancing, retarding. So what that means is when you put your foot on a throttle and the engine pulls, when you pull away, the motor turns slow, a lot of fuel gets injected, less air. Now as the speed goes up, engine speed goes up, it starts to advance again, because then it takes more air in because the motor is turning faster. Then it takes in more air, but the fuel delivery remains the same. Then it starts to advance again. Now this is what happened there. Now when you deaccelerate, take your foot off the throttle, then it will advance maximum. Because after you lost your speed, came down the hill, it's at high RPMs coming down the hill, little fuel and high speed, lots of air being sucked in, little fuel. Then you get the bridge or whatever, and you go up the other side. Then you start to put your foot on the accelerator again, and then you pump more fuel in. But that time the advance is already maximum, so then it can take on the fuel as it gets squirted in. But then if the speed becomes down, the drop again, the engine speed, if it's a steel hill on the other side, and the speed, engine revs comes down, it takes less fuel in, less air in, but still a lot of fuel, because it's slowing down. Now it's flat out, but it's slowing down. Then the retarder will come in working and force it back again. Okay, let's see. There's the retarder. But now oops, let me get rid of the fuel again. Okay, let's see. We start off. It's advancing, pulling heavy, it's retarding. Speed goes up, advancing again. See, that's how it works. So, another thing, if it starts off before the motor turns, there is a certain degrees. Let's stop that center, and the piston, the fire really pushes on the piston at 10 degrees past, 10 grade oor. Top that's at the boonste draaipunt, begin die suier afstoot, want dan is die vuur op sy hewigste. Then the fire burns hot, then it starts to push your crank this way. But the timing will be about, let's say it's set for 25 degrees. So that's 10, 20, 25. So there it will start injecting fuel, and it will start to burn up this way, and it will burn maximum there, and then pushes the crank around. But now at high RPMs, You need more timing than that. And that is when this comes in. So when the fuel is rich, it will minimize the degrees towards this way. But if the advanced piston comes in, it will even advance from here back to 50 or 60 degrees. From there it will advance, advance it to inject at 40-50 degrees before top dead center, and then it will, when it reaches there, it will push the crank down. Okay, it's like aiming at something that's flying in the distance, and you aim before, in front of it, to hit it. Otherwise you're going to miss it. And this is how this works. It injects far before the top dead center mark. So the faster the engine runs, the higher the speed, of more before the time it must inject to be able to get to the 10 degrees off the top dead center to push it down the piston. Okay, that is it for the degrees. Now on the DPA pump on a 504 and 404 motors, you take shims out to make it advance quicker, and you add shims to make it advance slower. On this one you don't have to stop the pump every time to take shims out or so. You just, while it's running, you just adjust it like this on the test bank. It's the best to adjust this thing right, unless you know how it works. Then you can try to do it in the backyard. Anyway, now let's see. If you turn it this way, like so, that's now there's the least pressure on the spring, so it will advance very fast. So I'm going to use this slow machine, this one, drilling machine, slow machine. See, it hardly turns. Oops, it's already advancing. Okay. If you turn it the opposite direction, you're tightening the spring load, like so. And now you same speed, faster, no advance. Spring is stiff, so it's advance slower now. Now I'm going to use the impact tool, fast one with 11 speeds. See, now at the high speed it only advanced, very high speed. Okay, just set this right. Okay. Now, and you're can adjust it here. In there, the rollers and shoes with a 4mm Allen key. A 4mm Allen key, it can adjust it there. Now, mine was like that, and it turned back to about there, and then I adjusted the oordrag pump, the transfer pump's pressure up, and then I decided to turn it back to this position. It's now in this position. It's now halfway between there and yeah, on my car. So, because if you change the pump, transfer pump pressure, as jy oordra maar pomp, so druk verander, dan moet jy die vervroeging verstel, en jy moet die roller en skoen ook stel. As soon as you make the pressure higher, it delivers more fuel as well. Your idling speed will also go faster. And now to demonstrate that one, I need a screwdriver. And I turn it back. So softening the spring load on it, on the release valve, pressure release valve, or relieve the pressure or whatever. Now only at high speed it advances. Turn the pressure back to the high position, high pressure position, like so. Now the spring is stiff. Now the pressure release valve will release the fuel at a higher pressure. Okay, let's see. There are different holes in the sleeve there, so it must go up to a certain pressure to come out by the holes. Let's see. Take the slow machine, because the pressure is now high. See, now it advances very soon. It idles already at idling speed. It already goes up. Let's see what's the maximum. That's maximum. Let's see if this thing can show us better. Yeah, the maximum is right up there. Hold the screwdriver like that. It's about there, the maximum. So it advances quite a lot. It could be 20 degrees or more. It advances there. Okay, now and put this one on there, and we see what goes on with the delivery. keeping it. So that's how that works. So very interesting. Okay, that's for the pump. I hope so. Hope I mentioned everything. Now the combustion chambers is another story. Now the gas for the medium thickness gasket goes according to the protrusion height of the piston. Now there's a pin or a ball in there to keep it in position that it doesn't vibrate until it gets out like that and it drops onto your piston. So it keeps it in place. So this one would have operated for a long time still, even though it was cracked right through, because it won't turn because of the pin there keeping it in place, not to prevent it from turning this way or that way. Okay, well, now that's heat that does that. Incorrect timing or too much fuel or bad riding. If you go fast and slow, then it's heat and cold air and then heat again on it, and then it will crack quicker. So this thing won't crack for instance in a boat motor, because it runs at one speed. You don't go up and down all the time with the RPMs. You keep it more or less on one speed. Now this chamber here has a question mark, because there's a crack running to here, and then there's a crack running from there to there, and the cylinder gasket sits like that, and if this piece cracks out, this will drop into your piston. So there you can see the crack running down. To here, and the crack runs down. There you can see the crack runs down to about here. So it's only holding on a little piece, still on these chambers, on this chamber I mean. And inside it's about to there. About to there. These can still go. They only cracked in the middle, up to there and there. So the gasket can keep that into place like this. that one, the gasket can keep in place like that. It's cracked there. But this one also has cracks from there to there. See there? Anyway, that one can still go like that. See the mark of the gasket there still. Okay. That's very a lot of heat, and then suddenly you take your foot off the accelerator and you let it cool off too quickly, and then you put your foot on the accelerator again flat out, and then you all of a sudden you have a lot of fire and heat on it. That causes the cracks to appear. Okay, now I hope you understood the injector pump story, how it works more or less. So if you turn the pressure up there, and you turn the pressure down here to let the advance work less, the problem will come in. You must adjust that one too, otherwise your retarder will push more than your advance, because then your retarder gets more fuel from the setting that's higher on this one then. And then idle goes up, then you turn the idle down a little bit, and then you have to turn the rollers and shoes down as well, anti-clockwise. So it's a lot of adjustments you have to do to make on it to get it right. This is a battery charger I use for the power supply. Very old battery charger. And the gauge even works. So short circuited, you can see. It still works. The gauge works. And this is just a power supply I use to open my injector pump on the solenoid switch there. Ek hoop julle het van die video gehou. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand this pump better. Ek hoop julle verstaan meer oor deze pomp. So, tot volgende keer dan. Until next time. Bye bye. Tot ziens. Tot volgende keer.